You are listening to the oneofus.net podcast network. One of Us is a podcast and video network funded all but entirely by donations and subscriptions. We do accept pitches for audio-based or banner ads, but on a case-by-case basis. If you are interested in that, contact us at oneofusnet@gmail.com. With the amount of audio and video content we generate, it is expensive and extremely time-consuming to keep things running. Please go to the webpage oneofus.net and sign up for a subscription at $2, $5, $10, or $25 and get a ton of bonus content. One of Us needs and appreciates all your support. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Digital Noise with the Noise Boys.
The Noise Boys?
I don't know. It's something Aaron said at some point on another show.
I like that. I don't mind that.
Has to be with Z's in both cases. Noise Boys.
The Noise Boys.
Yeah,
This is what I've come to now.
We're gonna get sweatshirts with tag type things. Noise Boys.
Maybe sweaters, little Argyle sweaters that says Noise Boys. Like, what does that mean? It's like, so I do a podcast where we talk about movies. Okay, just stop.
Oh my God. Right. This is why your German exchange student in high school didn't have sex with you.
Too much information.
Sorry, I used your private stories.
Oh no!
You. Sorry, that was a long time
I'm
ago.
fucked again.
not literally. Either case. So yeah, it's fine. Welcome, right, to my house of abuse.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a good time. It's every now and then it's great. We're talking about Fast and the Furious and Suicide Squaddies but every now and then we could talk about movies that actually are worth a damn.
Well, to be fair, I love both of those films you just mentioned. So
I loved one half of those.
You didn't like Suicide Squad?
You know I did.
Well, you didn't like Fast and the Furious.
Well, Fast and the Furious was, really...
You did. You gave it like a 6.5 or something, or a 7.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so 5 is average, right? By definition, out of 10. Right?
Yeah.
So you gave it it was above average.
You remember my score?
No, I don't. I'm guessing.
Oh man, I
remember you didn't. 5. I remember you didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I just knew why people liked it because people are dumb. No, because again, I've never watched any of the other Fast and Furious movies, so I was like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't.
This from a guy who runs a podcast called Trash in the Can.
Look, okay. Well, you had to bring that up, which is great. Because Trash in the Can airs every other Wednesday, every now and then. We try to keep up. But, yeah, we watch really bad movies. And, the Fast and the Furious, we'll leave those to, more well-established podcasts, like a How Does It Get Made kind of thing, where you have your Adam Scotts and your Jason Mantzoukases.
I don't know, man. I coined it recently, the term trashterpiece.
Trashterpiece?
Yeah, a trashterpiece.
Oh, that's not bad.
I think the best Fast and the Furious films are trashterpieces, where you're like, this is as good as trash gets. It's trash, but it's amazing trash.
God.
As opposed to the Universal ride, which I was just in Universal theme park in Florida. I finally got to go to the Fast and the Furious ride, and it was garbage.
There was a ride?
Yeah, they just made it. It came out less than a year ago. And I was so excited. I was waiting for it for 2 years. And I was like, oh my God, a Fast and Furious ride, right? It's got to be like a coaster or something intense. No, it was this dumb fucking thing. You get on a bus with neon lights and they send you through the hallways and we got to go to the party. Oh no, the FBI is chasing us. And then they just put you in a stable room with video on either side of you.
And it's just Vin Diesel saying it's just about family.
It's the characters doing action shit, but it was the worst CG you have ever seen in your entire life. I'm talking about The Last Starfighter wouldn't even be jealous. So it was so bad and embarrassing.
You didn't tell me about the Fast and the Furious ride. You regaled me about your whole Disneyland experience.
Well, why would I? It was awful. It was so awful.
But you know I like bad crap, which, speaking of which, this week...
Yeah, we've got some bad crap to talk about. But also some good bad crap.
But good bad crap, I might say.
No, I mean, I would say, yeah, that's right. Because we have, like, trash pieces, as you will.
I mean, yes, a couple.
Yeah.
But there are some actual, like, real masterpieces in here. I think there are some, like, are actually fantastic.
I completely agree.
Thank you, for God's sakes, because the last time I did this, like, some of those were a little rough.
Yeah, I gave you a tough,
a tough first try.
Yes, and it was like, it's the luck of the draw. It wasn't like, I'm selecting these movies,
so I was
right?
very unlucky.
You were very unlucky. And I didn't know how you would react to this stack, which is kind of all over the place, but has a lot of, like, unknowns and, like, I mean, there's only one mainstream film in our entire stack.
Which
is your least favorite film of the whole thing.
Can't wait to talk about.
But most of the, like, tiny little, older stuff we're talking about here and, some of the newer stuff is pretty good. All things, if you have a taste for that sort of thing.
If you have a taste for it, but also, like, just some of the more even modern stuff. We'll talk about it here in a second, but, like, there's a few things in here that I was so glad to ask Chris to just, can I keep this? Because this is great.
Yeah, you have one. We're not starting with that one, though. So, yeah.
No.
We're starting with Invaders of the Lost Gold, which is the sort of title that, immediately makes you think of, well, if you have followed a lot of what was going on in the 80s, exactly what it is, which is just a bad, Italian-funded, low-budget film that brings by its title that alludes to other much better films, right?
Yeah. So the next movie is Born for...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it really... Like, I appreciated this movie. I appreciate it. I didn't love it because it's... Man, I love even the cover for this Blu-ray.
It's a great cover.
Because it's no one in the movie. Yeah. And it's one of those flicks that are just like, okay, we're gonna pitch it as a bunch of rebels trying to find treasure in, wherever the hell they're going. Where is it going? Venezuela
this was also called Horror Safari, for the record.
Horror
Safari title.
Yeah.
But into the, quote, jungle. I don't know if they ever even say where it is.
No, I think it's like in the Philippines or something.
Well, I mean, it's almost certainly filmed in the Philippines.
Well, yeah. But it's like, it's about a group of World War II Japanese soldiers that steal this gold, like real gold, and they're trying to defend themselves against the tribe that's in town. The natives. Yeah. And, well, they,
if only you spoke,
well, I mean, like, if only everyone spoke Italian, then it would make a lot more sense.
No, I'm just making a Raiders reference.
But they store this gold in a cave, and then 180 years later, they devise a plan.
Not that long.
It's based in 2070, where they
would have made it for a better movie.
Actually, it would be really interesting with actually the exact same actors.
Why hasn't someone made this movie yet? Actually, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
We're gonna do this whole rest of this podcast to just about like the remake of Invaders of the Lost Gold, where it takes place in like Blade Runner times.
Which would be interesting because from the cover, but if it's like neo noir, like there's robots and shit. Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway, back to the actual movie.
But like it's starring the dumpiest actors, which I do have an affinity for. It's like as if they're like, you know what? Paul Giamatti's still a thing, right? Let's get him into this. But like, let's mix him with like Walter Matthau and I don't know, the guy who voiced the old man in Up. What's his name?
Oh, I have no idea off the top of my head.
Oh my God. I am anyone who's listening to this are like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
This is for people who like Z grade, like movies like this. This is kind of a superstar film, but nobody from here is really noticeable in anything else except for Woody Strode who has been in a number of other films. And even then, if you're like young, you'd be like, I have no idea who that is. I think he was like a football player or something, but he was one of those guys who played a heavy in a bunch of shit, even after he was in his 60s, which he clearly is in this movie.
Yeah. He's an older gentleman who well, that's the thing. Everyone is old.
Yeah.
Except for like the women. Everyone is like,
who are young and super hot. And
yeah. And that's what I figured out halfway through the movie. I was like, oh, nudity. That's what this movie's for.
Yeah.
Which is bare.
It's these people going on a voyage into the jungle that's paid for by a questionable morals person. And his daughter is sent out with them, who insists she's going to go on this thing. Of course, is also super hot.
Right.
And
who inexplicably loves the main guy, who is played by... Basically, it's a trash bag filled with like cigars and Paul Giamatti's corpse.
Yeah,
like
that sounds fair.
Yeah, it sounds fair, right? And actually, Walter Matthau, like because like his
it's Stuart Whitman is the name of the actor.
Stuart Whitman. All the Stuart Whitman fans are just like, oh, give him a chance.
Are there Stuart Whitman fans? Okay, good.
I know too, but you know what? I kind of dug it. It was kind of actually kind of fun. Well, of course I did. But like, it's just, there's like, we were talking about another movie. It was like, well, it kind of lulls in the second act. And here, like, I felt the same way, where it's like, it kind of lulls. And it's like, let's get someone needs to die.
Yeah.
And like, it finally gets into the whole slasher aspect of the movie.
Does it though?
And like, correctly, no, it doesn't. But, it tries, and I commend it for it.
Dude, it does this weird shit where people die from nothing.
But it's like an hour in.
Nothing.
It's like an hour in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, there's one death in the movie where it's like, that, I think I rewound it. It was a VHS.
Yeah.
I rewound it like a few times where I was like, wait, how did she actually die?
Yeah, no, there's a character who's like a sexy young thing who for no reason at all goes, oh, look at this water. I'm going to take off all my clothes and go swimming in it apart from everyone. And then nothing kills her. Like she just dies from nothing. Something kills her clearly, but she dies and you never see it. You don't, she dies.
Yeah.
And no one ever discusses it past then. What killed her? I don't know. Well, let's move on. That's this whole movie is things. They're like, oh, well, it must be a curse or some shit, which is never explored.
Wait, they talk about a curse?
Yes. They say it's like the whole thing is like, oh, all these people are dying because it must be cursed. The gold is cursed or something.
Oh, the gold is cursed.
But it is never relevant. At all.
No,
there's no exploration of the idea of past that of them speculating there's a curse, that there's a curse. I was just like, this is not fun enough to balance all the badness of it.
It's not, look, I get it. It's not fun enough, but it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun.
One for me.
Okay. You know what? This is how we should do digital noise. One for you, one for me.
Yeah, sure.
And I would say one for you because in the end, yes, of course, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not God's gift to man, because there are a few in here that are God's gift to man.
I don't know about that, but I'll go with you. There's many films in this set that are much better than this one.
Sure. But I think it's at least a fun romp of Italian ridiculousness, because I've seen a lot of bad ones, and this one is at least like, hey, if you like old frumpy men, I got your ticket.
Like I feel like with a lot of these type films, the further they go into terrible, the more I like them. And this one firmly straddles we don't want to go too far into terrible. It just feels badly edited.
True. Like it does feel badly edited, and it doesn't go full force with the ridiculousness. Like it tries to keep it all pretty grounded, which I, in a way, did appreciate, because there is a bad guy to keep up with. I'm like, all right, I get this, but at the same time, I was like, well, this is the way that it like ends all happening. I'm like,
in your defense, in the movie's defense, this is far from the worst film of this type I've seen. Like,
sure,
there are people who definitely defend this film. There are fans of this film out there, which surprises me that exists, but there are.
Wait, have you gone in deep forums to figure out?
You clearly have not hung out at the Alamo Drafthouse enough and gotten to know the longtime staff or at Austin Film Society, because there are people who just like live or die by movies like this and think they're better than Star Wars.
Look, like, I don't know people.
But I know people. Oh,
I know people.
You know who's in here, though? We didn't say. The guy who played Oddjob in Goldfinger.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, the Asian character in here.
That's Oddjob?
That's Oddjob, yeah.
I thought I fucking recognized him.
That's Oddjob.
Oh my god. You know what? This is a 10 out of 10 on
Jesus.
Digital Noise.
All right. Well,
one for me now?
Yeah. Well, hold on. So there's some bonus features. There's 16 and a half minutes of Rumble in the Jungle, which is an interview with the director, Alan Birkinshaw. And there's outtakes from Machete Maidens Unleashed, which are unused interviews with him and Corliss Randall, the wife of producer Dick Randall, which was a 2010 documentary about this guy's career.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, and it was a lot more boring than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's not really thrilling.
I mean, it's just like, well, we filmed the movie, and I didn't know if I was going to be. I'm going to do Australian now because why not? And because who gives a fucking shit, right? And so I filmed the movie, and I thought I was going to do the movie, and. And we shot all the things, and, it came together.
It all came together in the end. It's another film on the Barbie.
It was another film on the Barbie. Speaking of which.
Yeah, we're going to move on to our next film, which is not Australian or Italian. It's a 1976 horror film that is... Oh, who's releasing this? Can you see on the back? I think it's Severin. Severin. Called Born for Hell, also titled The Execution, or also titled Naked Massacre, which, get ready for this type of review. I looked at this and was like, oh no, I did not ask for this. It was like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to watch this. But the more I read about it, I was like, okay, I admit this sounds kind of interesting, which is a take by director Denise Hero on the Richard Speck murders, even though this film takes place with a Vietnam War veteran in Belfast during the Troubles, and it's a very, there's a subtext that's very political going on here about that, certainly. But it's Richard Speck's Chicago murders. He's basically Richard Speck, who's to a point where it's like, you can't miss it if you know the Richard Speck killings. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, these are the Richard Speck killings. He just put them in a different place and went, but what I really want to talk about is the Troubles in Ireland. And I can't say this didn't work. I mean, its biggest problem is that there's something kind of offensive about taking a real life thing and transposing it that closely into another thing with tons of nudity and rape scenes and what have you. And like it becomes exploitationist in a way that is kind of genuinely offensive to a lot of people. And in fact, this was very genuinely offensive to a lot of people, even in Austin, Texas, where when this came out in 1972, there were open protests against it from the Austin Rape Crisis Center, the Coalition for Battered Women, and the Women's Equity Action League, and radical lesbian feminists in Austin who were openly protesting and made a big deal about not wanting this to open here.
1, I love the city. 2, I agree. But this was kind of a challenge.
Yeah. I mean,
this is not fun.
No, it's a surprisingly well-made film, though.
It's a surprisingly well-made film that is challenging, and you're learning halfway through. Like, I would say definitely halfway through. Because you assume, 1, it's kind of boring. But 2, halfway through you figure out, like, oh, wait. Does it know it's an exploitative movie?
I think it does.
It does, but it does not know how to do exploitative well. Because it's taking its tone and its subject matter very seriously. We're like, oh, wait, hold on. Because that's okay.
What are you getting at, right?
I appreciate movies like this because it is trying to, it feels like it's one of those movies like, we're trying to make a film, but like it's doing that. And this movie, I feel like, God damn it, it's really trying its damnedest, but it totally misses the mark on what it's really trying to do, because it feels like one of those things where it's either a producer or someone coming like, need more nudity. And like, that's when someone comes in there and just says that, like,
there's a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. And like, the women need to get more nude. And that's basically the only notes that it got.
Yeah.
And it's not comfortable whatsoever.
It felt like two butting heads of a guy who clearly wants to say something about Belfast and make this whole thing, like overlaying metaphor, but it gets lost because of a producer who's like, this needs more rape and titty scenes in it, which don't serve that metaphor at all.
No, it just seems like that, it's trying to get like a rise out of people,
so to speak.
So to speak. And it doesn't serve at all. 'Cause like, it's inherently interesting, the story that's going on, but I knew, like, cause it's kind of a long movie too, or it feels very long at least, where like really halfway through, like, oh man, I did not mentally, I did not sign up for this.
I mean, it's only 92 minutes.
It's only 92 minutes, but man, you feel every 92 minutes because it's
1972. It's in Belfast. It's the early stages of the Northern Ireland conflict, and it follows a soldier named, of course, Kane, who deserted in Vietnam. He wants to return to the United States, and he's trying to figure out how to do that. He's having trouble figuring out how to do that. He's kind of stressed out. He's running out of money. At first, it seems like he's a protagonist because he seems like not a terrible guy.
No, he's not a terrible guy, and just all of a sudden he just like goes off the rails immediately.
He could be fucking Rambo in First Blood, where you're like, oh, this guy's going to end up being a hero despite his troubles. But no. He ends up in a situation where he meets a bunch of nursing students who live in a house together, who are, of course, all ridiculously hot and who are preparing for the last week of exams. And when he first meets them, they're very kind to him, like, here, take some money, take some food. I'm like, okay. And for reasons that are never really explained, he decides to come back and kill all of them.
Well, I don't know. I will give it kind of sort of a credit because I really tried to watch it for his performance.
And it's a good performance.
This movie is difficult because every performance in the movie, I think, is fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like from the nurses to him especially. I think it's all really good, but it is a hard movie to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun. No. It's like, it's only a movie that, like, you know, after a year and a half, you're doing oneofus.net, and Chris is like, hey, you should do digital noise. Like, okay, cool. And then like the second episode, you're like, hey, you should watch this movie. It's like, okay, cool. And then you watch it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I get it.
It's not hostiling. It's not lingering over long on the death and rape scenes. I mean,
no, it's not. Like, a lot of the death stuff actually happens off screen, so it's not too gory.
Well, a lot of it is very what you would expect from like a 70s film. It's like just a little bit of blood. It's all a lot of it's implied.
But it's so unnerving.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Is like with his performance, like if you're gonna watch something that is about. Like, I almost think of like, Summer Sam is like actually a bad example, but like, just if you're going to watch what's his face who played Sam, I forget his last name, just to see that like mentality kind of just like, you know, go nuts. Like, it's like, okay, this would be an interesting movie to watch for that if you're wanting to get in that mood. But like, it's not that bad. It's just, it's a tough watch.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of bonus features here, though. There's 14 minutes of The Other Side of the Mirror, which is a new interview with Mathieu Carrier. I don't know how to speak. Once they put an accent
what do you
mark,
know how to speak?
When there's an accent mark, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't know.
Mateo
I'm American
is the name.
No, Mathieu.
Mateo?
It's Matteo. Hieu, which I think is Matteo?
I bet it's Mateo.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, it is interview here with Zoom because, modern days, which is a career overview with him. Nightmare in Chicago, which is 13 minutes long, which interviews with Chicago-based filmmakers John McNaughton and and Gary Sherman, who talk about the Speck murders and their experiences with Richard Speck's actual murders. There's a new, which I feel like is really the only real thing. I'm always looking for, like, if this is based on a history thing, give us a history thing. Let's talk about the actual thing. And that's what that does. There's a new kind of crime for 38 minutes, which is podcaster Esther Ludlow, who hosts a show called Once Upon a Crime, discussing Speck and his experiences there. Bombing Here, Shooting There for 17 minutes, which is a video essay by Chris O'Neill that tries to talk about what did this really try to say about the stuff going on in Northern Ireland, which admittedly is a question that I'm still unclear on. Artist Joe Coleman on Speck for 14 and a half minutes, which if you know anything about Joe Coleman, you know that, like, can be kind of creepy, and this is kind of creepy. Inside the Auditorium for a little under 10 minutes, which is more of Coleman showing his museum of Speck things.
Okay, this is really nuts because...
and then the Italian theatrical trailer, and then the video version of the film, that was called Naked Masker, which is hour and 25 minutes. So it's a little bit of a different cut here. But
did you watch that?
No, I just watched the primary version.
Oh, Lord.
Like, the only time I'll ever do that is if I'm really in love with something where I'm like, oh, I want to see everything about it. I'm like, I don't have time to watch two versions of a film I have mixed feelings on.
This was definitely, out of all the movies that we watched, this was definitely the roughest because, again... the brutality that happens and, like, the coldness, I don't know, like, I haven't seen something like this in a very long time. It seems like an early 2000s movie where it was just, like, really trying to stick it home, like, It's
well done enough that I would say, like, if you're a fan of, like, oh my God, what is the movie with, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Henry, Portrait
of a Serial Killer. If you're a fan of that, Man Bites Dog.
You know what? Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
yeah, if you're a fan of that.
This could be up your alley.
This could be up your alley.
Because it's very well made. It's just, I'm not sure why it was made.
Yeah. It's one of those movies which I cannot wait to talk about later on. I don't know who this is for.
Well, our next film is a movie I think that took us both by huge surprise. Also, in the same company, right? Who put this out?
Severin. Severin deserves a Oscar. I don't know if the distribution companies get Oscars, but they deserve it because this movie is fucking fantastic.
This movie is called Siege.
Which again, the cover doesn't do any justice for what it is.
It was originally titled, when it first came out, Self-Defense.
All right.
Directed by Canadian television and film writer, director, and producer Paul Donovan, who a lot of people best known for being the creator of the really fun but kind of uncomfortably kinky sci-fi show Lex. If you ever saw that.
What?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, Lex.
Oh my God, I love this movie even more. Holy fuck.
It is, I feel like there's stuff in here that I should feel uncomfortable with, and every time I start to feel uncomfortable with something in here, like in terms of its modern day messaging, I'm like, oh, well, they actually kind of did right by that, okay, you know?
They totally did right by that.
Yeah, this is a Assault on Precinct 13 fans. Take fucking notice, because this is that type of film.
It's that and Green Room mixed together and super, I would say even more tense. Because this movie, okay, I know this was made in, it doesn't say the year,
1983.
83. This is the best movie of the year.
Oh, Jesus.
Because this movie is fucking fantastic.
It's great. I was glued.
It's genuinely great.
I was like mad that no one had ever told me about this movie.
Holy shit.
I was watching it going like, am I the only person? Am I going to go like, hey, have y'all seen this movie? And everybody go, of course we've seen that movie. Have you never seen this? I'm like, why has no one told me about this movie?
I thought you played a prank on me because I think this was like the second movie I watched and I was like, okay, well, I'll watch The Siege because I think we'll talk about this a little
There's
later.
a parallel reality scenario going on here where I'm like, did we slide into a parallel reality with this is like an Evil Dead or something where everyone knows about it, but like we just don't because we slipped in from a parallel reality?
I don't know, because this movie is so just genuinely realistic, the way that people react, and the really obscure, like, I guess, actual thing that happened, because I don't know if it was like a real instance, because it's based in Nova Scotia, where a group or the cops actually protest, like, we're not going to cop anymore.
It was in Halifax, and apparently there was a straight up police protest where they're like, no, I'm sorry, we're I don't know the details, but they were like, we're on strike. And so there was no police force and a bunch of shit went down.
Yeah.
I don't think this incident was one of the things that went down per se.
Right.
But that's as much as it's based on real life. So rip from the headlines as much as you want to imagine it is.
And Jesus Christ, this is so appropriate for right now.
Oh,
it is scary.
Yeah.
And this genuinely had me, like, tense.
When you look what's going on with the police forces across the country who are doing right now, like, oh, fine, you want to set different rules on us? You think we're not doing a good job? Fine, we just won't do our job at all, which has even happened in Austin.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, this is scary that they're being selective about what they want to apply themselves to out of protest. And this is like a world where our world, but in Canada in the 70s or in the 80s, where this is happening. And it's kind of the purge, basically, where they're like, this group who's a fascist group of fucking basically Trump supporters, but they're like they call themselves the New Order. Right. And they never had a Joy Division to go first, so they suck. And they want to, they go into a gay bar and they start going in there and fucking with everyone, and they end up murdering everybody in the bar except one guy who gets away, makes his way, like desperately claws his way into a local apartment building with a bunch of thankfully sympathetic people living in the apartment who are like, oh, there's absolutely no way we're going to let these fucking bullshit assholes come and get you, not realizing there's a lot of these bullshit assholes.
Well, and they're armed to the teeth. Yeah. And they're also like, not only are they just good people, but they're like, oh, we're teachers for the blind.
Yeah.
Like, they're not prepped. Yeah. This is like a very much like, again, Jeremy Saulnier, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
Like Green Room, Blue Ruin, like people who are inept for this, like, extreme situation.
And they're lucky that their next door neighbor is in fact a one of those guys we like to call a good old boy liberal here in Texas. Armed to the fucking teeth, certain that eventually the shit's gonna come down, but ultimately in his heart is a good guy.
Yes.
And is on their side and is like, you're lucky I'm your friend because I've got a fucking armory.
So Canadian.
Exactly.
So
they don't know that they have access to that. So it's a siege movie like the title where these guys are like, oh, we're going to get this guy because he witnessed all these other murders. And they're like, I know you're not. And it turns out it's a lot of like Equalizer type shit, setting traps and
oh my God.
And it's really intense and nail biting and like,
it's super nail biting. I have no more nails.
It was so good.
It was so good. Like they used all the sets really well. Like they also reused like different situations for like all the rooftop shit. Like everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot.
He's so excited he's vibrating right now.
Yeah, I cannot recommend this movie enough. This movie is so fucking good that I asked him if I can keep this Blu-ray, and he said yes.
And I was like, I had to think about it because I like this movie a lot too, but I'm like, hey, Wright's volunteering his time here. I'm like, fine, take it.
It is genuinely a good story. It is an uncomfortable in an entertaining way, because like it's one of those movies again, like Green Room or Blue Ruin, where like you're not going to want to sit down to have like a good time. Like, I'll watch a good entertaining movie.
It's supposed to be uncomfortably intense.
Yeah, this is going to entertain you in a way to where it's going to challenge you. And this movie, for how low budget it is and for what it does, it is so fantastic. It is by far the best movie that we see. So thank you so much for listening to Digital Noise.
There are a few extra films on here, including a commentary by the director and filmmaker Jason Eisner, who on the cover says it's the best Canadian film ever made. And I'm like, have you seen Videodrome? But, I love this, but come on.
I mean, yes, I would agree, but
we have our own thing. There's a extended cut, and I'm sad that I didn't watch it. I watched the regular cut.
It's one of those things where like I think I watched a movie recently on HBO or something like that. It said like, oh, you can watch the extended cut. I was like, what?
It depends on I'm so like I don't.
It was something that I really loved. That it was like, you could watch the extended, because I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh, it was The Abyss.
Oh, okay.
And it was like,
well, you always want to watch the extended cut of The Abyss.
Look,
it's like the
I
only
know
good version
this,
of it.
but it actually said you can watch the extended
Every Cameron film's extended cut is better than the regular cut.
I know this.
Every single one.
But the fact is that I was loving this from like the first 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you can watch the extended cut. I was like, I only knew that for the fucking end. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Siege? Which I cannot wait to watch. Again.
Yeah, it's one of those films I would return to if Wright wasn't stealing my copy of it. But, here we are.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Our next film is Tailgate. This is a newer film. Wow, we're talking about new films now. How exciting.
Aye.
It was originally called Bumper Keef.
Because
it's not.
What was it originally called? It was called
Bumper Keef.
No, Unhinged.
Oh, yeah. Okay, not originally called. There's a remake with Russell Crowe, which I've still not seen, which got good reviews, called Unhinged, which is, I can't say because I haven't seen it, how closely it sticks to this original. When I got this, I didn't know what it was. It was sent to me, like I read the thing and I read there were like all these positive reviews of people raving about it. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. Yeah, send it to me.
It was like the best like movie of the Dutch like film history that year or something like that. Yeah. It was like a huge movie.
Only released on DVD, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like the reviews from places I recognize are strong enough. And I love horror. Let's give this a chance. And I admit it, surprised the fuck out of me as it went along. It was not what I was expecting at all. And I can't say I'm in love with it.
No.
But I can say that I consistently was engaged with it. And by the end, it was like, I'm glad I saw this film. But why don't you tell the story here?
So it's about, it actually kind of reveals the killer at the very beginning, but like it's about a man who's just a crazy man, who's going to kill people, a serial killer who, dresses up in a lot of, garb to, make sure that there's no DNA, but like it's also about a family who is trying to race to, the husband's parents' house because like, God, they're so overbearing. We got to make sure we get there on time because if we don't get there on time, they're going to talk about all these things. And if we don't get there on time and they're going to talk about these things, it's going to be just like a whole big ordeal, blah, blah, blah. It's very realistic.
Yeah.
I get that.
That the family themselves clearly have problems. And the family has problems with the extended family where, like you said, they're like...
The wife is just like, oh, your fucking family is like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's all a little too realistic. In some ways, I don't want to say I have those problems in my life because I don't feel like I do.
You know what? Let's talk about
But I'm familiar with them. No, we are not.
Let's talk about those tailgating problems.
So we'll go back and talk about my trip to Disney recently with the in-laws, which was delightful. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, they're on a road trip and the father has a moment of road rage for a guy who's holding up a lane, driving the speed limit. When no one else is driving the speed limit, which I certainly have been the guy going, you're in the fast lane. Why are you doing the speed limit? Get the fuck out of the way. And this guy is not interested in getting the fuck out of the way.
No.
He's interested. He's like, he's a serial killer who is tired of people being impolite and not following the standard rules.
Which I'm glad.
Oh, you're happy that those serial killers exist? Thank God we have some law and order in this country.
Because like, there's a part of it that's like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, get it, Dutch.
Well, that's a horrifying way of killing people.
Which, okay, his way of killing people is very laborious and just like overwrought. I'm like, I can't. Okay, like I get you. Like, here's the thing. The serial killer's whole thing is like, don't be a dick, right? That's all it is.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick
but even
driving.
He's the biggest dick of all of them.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is like, don't be a dick on the road and like, you'll be okay. Cause like, he gives the husband many of chances to actually say like, apologize. And then finally like, it doesn't take.
The husband has nothing to apologize for.
Which I think is interesting. Okay. Because it's the social contract. Because if he, look, there are crazy people everywhere. In this day and age, in Denmark.
Did you look at your phone to figure out what time it was? Or what?
No, like in Denmark, I'm looking at the DVD right now.
All right, sorry.
In Denmark, America, in Tennessee, everywhere.
There's a certain amount of social contract.
There's a social amount of social contract, but also like, okay, if someone is taking this, and I'm sorry, you probably deserve to die if you just cannot get this immediately. It's like, they're taking this way too seriously. Maybe should apologize and move on, because this country is crazy in America. And granted, this is actually like quite shocking in Denmark. It's like, oh my God, I thought everyone was kind of cool.
Yeah, I was planning on moving to Scandinavia.
Right. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to move there. Where the fuck I'm going to move to? Canada, siege happened.
I mean, fair, if you watch Scandinavian television shows, there's a lot of fucking
there's a lot of murder.
Killers.
There's a lot of murder. Anyway, evidently humans love to kill each other, but in this movie, it's like, okay. And I feel like the husband, like, all you had to do is just say, you know what? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do that. A lot of things going on right now. I don't want to bore you, but I apologize. And it was not needed. The way that I did that is not needed at all. And
all he did was honk for the guy to get out.
You know what?
Of the way.
I just saved that family's like whole traumatic experience with 15 seconds.
Wait, are you the guy who drives in the fast lane and drives?
I am the guy who drives in the fast lane. And it's like, you know what? Because I know that someone's like, because we live in Texas. Texas is crazy, right?
Yeah, but you don't do the speed limit in the fast lane.
I know you don't do the speed limit in the fast lane, but there's fucking crazy people. They're like, I'm going to test people because I have a fucking gun or I'm going to kill someone just cause.
That's fair.
And that's what this fucking movie's about. And I'm not going to trust anyone.
The crazy people are the people driving way over the speed limit, like 40 miles over it, who are honking at you when you're in the slow lane. Those are the crazy people. But anyway.
Those are the crazy people.
Anyway, the point being is like, I never had any sympathy for this killer. I went like, oh, you're like, you're basically like a Midwesterner. You're like a guy who is determined to himself.
Look, you're getting off topic with the whole Texas thing.
No. You're determined to yourself what you think the rules of society are, and anybody who is impolite about what your assumed rules are for reality, they're worthy of being killed. It's your job to take them out, which is reality right now to some level.
So he's a libertarian.
A libertarian. There you go. Except libertarians, I think, all speed. But, they're like, speed limits, what are those for? Anyway, the point is I found this genuinely kind of scary. I did. Like, especially in the third act when it starts getting to, like, where it's a more of a standard, like, stalk and slash. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is really genuinely frightening. Is that the family is terrified every time they see a van that looks anything like his van.
Yeah, that was interesting because it was also, it's a thing that, I think that Unhinged did well, because like, if you've seen trucks, like all different types of trucks, like, oh my God. But in this, it's like all this particular type of van, which I guess is in all of Eastern Europe. Yeah. And so you're like, oh, there's all those types of vans.
They're here too. Ever since I saw this movie, I just see them everywhere. I can't stop looking at them. I'm just like, every time I see one, I'm like, that's the tailgate van. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one.
Fucking bug spray right to spray in my fucking face.
Yeah, the guy kills with bug spray.
Yeah, or like seduce you with bug spray or something like that.
Oh, it's like really, really acidic, murderous bug spray. You're like, what? That's a weird new killer thing.
Yeah, it's they saw No Country for Old Men, like, I think we do that worse.
Yeah. But I genuinely liked this a lot. I've not seen Unhinged to compare it with, but I genuinely really was like, I wasn't expecting much, but I got a lot.
I genuinely, I did like it a lot. It's, the DVD and like the marketing for it though, I think that it portrays it as more of a crazy killer movie, and it's not. It's more of like a stalkery, just
it's almost kind of arty, really.
It's a little bit more arty because I honestly think there's only like 1.5 person that dies in this movie.
It's not like there's only like barely any brutal killings on screen here. Yeah. In fact, even one of the most killings happens that towards the
first
end
like
of the
5 minutes.
That's one of the most brutal killings. Presumably, is only you hear the sound. You don't even see.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit.
It's like I love that America was like, you know what, this needs Russell fucking Crowe.
Russell Crowe murdering the fuck out of.
And you know what? We need to fatten him up and get him.
I don't think they needed to fatten him up. I think he was already fattened.
Oh,
he
poor
came
Russell
pre-fattened.
Pre-fattened Russell Crowe. It's great for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. You know, do they have like my wife's a vegetarian. Is there a turducken version? I don't know.
A turducken crow.
Yeah, a turducken crow. Exactly.
A turducken crow. And it's just like, oh, I liked him Gladiator. Insider was good. Ooh. Yeah, maybe a little.
Remember when he was hot and sexy, and then we all found out he wasn't as good a singer as everyone else who were professional singers in the movie was?
This is what I love, that anyone thought that he was a good singer.
He's a fine singer. He's just not a fucking musicals and Broadway singer. Fine, right? We'll talk about Hydra. Do you really want to talk about Hydra?
No, so Rose plays Julie.
No, we're gonna, that's next. We're gonna talk about Hydra first. You know, here's the thing. I really love Will Go USA, the distributor of a lot of Asian films.
Yes.
They put out so much good stuff, but there's been kind of a slew of not so good stuff from them coming out lately where I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like, you can't, like, I love exploring different cultures, versions of the martial arts films, which is what you guys do. But, and admittedly, Hong Kong films, on the ratio of, martial arts movies have been not as good lately, for sure. So why not explore other cultures? But it's been very hit and miss. And I felt Hydra fell a little bit, well, maybe a lot under the miss level for me. Not to the level to write it off completely. I mean, this is Japanese, mind you.
Right. And I appreciate what they were doing, but it's like, man, I don't know if like I'm spoiling anything, but like the movie, we were talking about this beforehand, but it felt like the movie was a first act of a movie.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
And like, it set up really interesting characters and it was still 90 minutes. And the way that it ended, it was like, wait, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? Cause like, I actually became kind of interested in some of the characters and they're like, and we're done.
It's shot very raw. It's shot very indie and low budget.
It is, yes. It's very much just like, oh wow, you had a couple of cameras and you just made this movie.
Yeah. Exactly. And are we going to get to the point where people are fighting? Yes, we will get to the point where people are fighting. This is marketed as a intense martial arts film. It takes a long time for martial arts to enter into Hydra.
It does.
But why don't you tell the storyline here?
Oh my gosh. So Hydra is about It starts with an interesting cold open, but it's really about...
I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's about a guy who works as a chef at a little, like, tiny restaurant, and there's a couple of people there, and like there's the main waiter guy who's a little bit more of a socialite. He's like you know, kind of cool with the customers, and he's basically everything that the chef isn't, because the chef is almost mute.
Taciturn. Yeah.
And then the bartender is this young woman who is a little bit more like free and like, you know, like willing to have fun.
Who's the owner of the place now?
Who is the owner of the place right now. And the chef has taken a vow, basically, in a way, to help make sure this place does not go under, to make sure that the owner, this young woman, is okay. Yeah. Like, that's basically what it's all about.
Yeah, it's a late reveal, but
a very late reveal.
Why is this guy who seems to have no interest in hanging out with these other people who both are trying constantly to get his attention? The girl clearly
he cannot smile, and
they laugh at him for his taciturness.
Right.
Of like, what is this guy's deal? He's great at what he does. They're all like, wow, he's one of the best cooks you could imagine. He's totally helpful as shit, but he's not, like, he doesn't want to be our friend, and we can't figure out why.
Right.
And so that's the drama key, is like, why?
Well, like, what's going on here? Like, why is he not a part of our group or our trio? And you find out, it's like, oh, he's a part of, like, this orphan assassin group?
All right, so it's another film about an assassin who feels bad about being an assassin, who has tried to get away from being an assassin, and then they pull me back in.
I try to get away, but they pull me back in.
So, there are fans of that specific subgenre.
Let's talk about that. Who?
Oh, I know some, for sure. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to feel like name
names, because if they like this movie, they should be ashamed.
Well, okay. I don't know for sure these people like this movie. I don't think this is a terrible movie.
I don't think it's terrible, but it's just like, it's a good, like, that's what sucks about this is like the characters they're building up. I think I would have given more of my time.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been okay if it was like 2, hell, even 3 hours. Like, they're building up something. I was like, this is kind of interesting, the way that they were building up the story, but it's 90 minutes.
I kept thinking, because of its laid back,
it's so laid back,
laconic style, that I'm like, I could see Jim Jarmusch making this into a great movie.
That's actually wow.
Know, like,
I
with
totally
his
get
style and the music he would put in it, and the sense of like peace that he has even in his most violent films. Is this sense of like just Zen-likeness to it. It felt like that, like, to some degree, that was what they were going for, but the director's just not accomplished enough to do anything with that.
Well, he doesn't know what the hell story is.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know where it should lead to, because it feels like this should be it feels like it should be part of a trilogy or something, because, like, it's just, like, only scratching the surface of, like, what is happening in this world that they're building. And they're just, like, at the end of the movie, and it feels like halfway through, they're like, and we're done. And
Agreed.
It's unfortunate because there's a lot of interesting things that they bring up. And, like, I will say, the action between the main guy, I already forget his name. I love that I say already, and, like, I don't remember his name.
Takashi Sato,
Takashi,
played by Masanori Mimoto.
So between him and the cutthroat villain, the other assassin, there is an action scene between them. I'm like, wow,
it's a good action scene.
There are modern action scenes where, like, you need to watch this. It's like, if you want to watch a movie that is kind of boring and, man, that, like, it's building good characters, but just like,
you're really selling. If you want to watch a movie that's kind of boring,
but it's like, man, if you want to watch, like, 2 or 3 really great action scenes, this is the movie you want to watch.
I kept going, why not just watch Ghost Dog?
Right.
Yeah.
God damn. But that one action scene in the basement, this is not spoiling anything, but, like, this action scene that happens between the main character and the villain, it is superb. The way that it's shot, the way, like, the choreography, it's like, wow, those people are, like, like, they do stunts.
Yeah.
And, like, they can also kind of act, like, okay. Like, they're not bad actors.
They're okay. Yeah.
They're okay. They're not bad actors, but, like, they're okay enough for, like, this role requires.
Enough where it feels like you're not hyper aware of you're watching someone act. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely okay with that part, but, like, the rest of the movie, there's, like, a lot of things that happen, and it's just like, okay. And the way that it ends, just like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah,
Like, that's the way this all ends? It's like, this is like the first Thor movie if you thought there were going to be 2 others. And it's like, what? That's it?
I think both of us kind of take a pass on Hydra.
I would say take a pass on Hydra, but like there is one genuinely good action scene, and like watch for that, watch for the martial arts, but why the fuck would we do that?
Yeah. We're going to move on to a movie we both really, really liked called Rose Plays Julie. And I realize that everyone's like, I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of this film. This is being put out by Film Movement, I believe. And who, I like Film Movement because they take chances on weird little indie films from all across the world. And for a while, they were kind of over-focusing on really dry dramas. Like, oh my God, this is so boring. And lately, I feel like someone told them, guys, like, try to throw some stuff that's even faintly genre-oriented in here.
Yeah.
And they've been putting out a slew lately of really genuinely good and fascinating foreign films that are genre-oriented, that are like really good. We've had a couple of like our pick of the weeks. Like, I don't know if you weren't here when we did Nino Wu, which is like a Japanese Mulholland Drive.
Wow.
It's super great. But by that, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe nobody has told me about this movie. Rose Plays Julie is one of the films that took me totally by surprise. I considered not even watching it for review because Movement sends me everything they put out. And a lot of the stuff is like, that's not for me. That's not for me. And I was like, I can't tell if this is for me. But I found a window and I watched it and was like, wow, I kind of loved this.
So let me explain to you my mindset, because I saw the DVD cover and I was like, oh, saltine crackers. Like, it's just like, it looks super dry.
Yeah.
Right? As you're describing, like what the production company or the distribution company is just like, oh, this is what we produce. And God damn it. This movie, it's one of the few movies that I've seen in a long time. I was like, fuck, I wish I made that.
Yeah.
It is genuinely understated, great. It's on budget. It's a perfect,
quietly simmering.
Yes, I cannot love this movie enough. Like, it is so good. All the performances are great. Which we were talking about The Wire a little earlier. Oh God damn it!
Not on the show. Outside of the show.
Aidan Gillian.
Aidan Gillian, is that his name?
Yeah. He plays Carcetti in The Wire,
right?
For our Wire fans out there.
Known from Game of Thrones.
He was Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Which fuck that. He's from The Wire. All my Wire fans, all the Wireys, we know what we're talking about.
But they're Game of Thrones.
He's Carcetti.
He's kind of Littlefinger here.
He is Carcetti.
All right. But he always plays guys who on the outside on first meeting seem like, oh, they're likable guys, but turn out they're like really horrible secrets and are really horrible.
Right.
And this is no exception. Although he is not the main character of this film. He's not one of the named characters. Rose Plays Julie refers to the main character here. Anne Skelly is the actress who plays Rose, who basically discovers that her parentage, she's adopted, is not exactly what anyone would want it to be, as she discovers her mother, who is a actress, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is played by Orla Brady, named Ellen. She meets her. She initially poses as being someone else, but they quickly find out that, like, okay, she's like, you're my daughter, aren't you? You're like the daughter I gave up. And like, I want to know what's the deal with my dad. It turns out her dad was a rapist, played by aforementioned
Aidan Gillen.
Yeah. Who is a very successful archaeologist. I guess that's a thing. He's not like raiding tombs and like fighting. He's not
an Indiana Jones. Yeah. He's basically
real life archaeologist.
Real life Indiana Jones, like
dusting off shit. But he is a terrible, terrible person, at least back then. And the question is for her, like, she wants to meet him under an assumed identity. She even wears a wig for it. Like, oh, I'm an actress and I want to I'm doing a role with archaeology and I want to volunteer for this dig. She wants to get to know him. only to discover that indeed this man has not changed.
Yes.
So what does she do with that information? What does her mother, who now knows, her real life mother, who now knows who she really is, and that her relationship to her, what does she do with the information that she's contacted this father? And you come up with a very quietly tense,
captivating
film.
God damn it. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is so superbly done. And, like I look at it on a lot of different, aspects, where like, the fact that it's, I mean, a lot of no names. I don't know anyone else who stars in this except for Aidan Gillian. I mean, there's like, okay, well, I mean, I know him, but,
you recognize him immediately.
Yeah, you recognize him. But like the two main actresses, Anne Skelly and Orla Brady, like I've never seen them before. The script is tight as hell. Like the story is so tight and what they want to focus on, and goddamn, like it's,
what does they say? Like the real effective film drama is about what happens between when people are talking.
Right.
And this is one of those movies.
God damn. And like, it's like, I was so genuinely surprised when I put this on and I don't watch a trailer. Just watch it. It's one of those movies where you recommend that. Where it's like, just watch the movie and see what actually happens.
It's not an intense thriller.
No, it's not an intense thriller. It's like...
It does end pretty intensely.
it does end intensely, but it's like one of the like dirty pretty things.
Yeah.
We're just like, let it seep in.
Yeah.
And just like, make it just unnerving the entire time. Like, the performance by Anne Skelly, I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff with her and it was like, oh my gosh, she seems so genuinely like joyful and great. And it's like, and she's playing it so straight in the movie. And I'm like, wow, she's a really good actress. And the fact that, like, what was this? This was made like, what, a couple years ago?
Yeah.
This was made like this year.
It raises some fascinating questions with what would make you choose to kill someone.
Yes. And that's what I love about this movie is that it's done that realistically where it's all based on emotion, rather like true lingering emotion, rather than just like, they took my land, like something stupid or just something, I don't know, something like a hitman's wife's bodyguard kind of thing. Like, what would you choose to kill with? But like,
don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking jump ahead.
Oh my God.
But with this is that it's all driven by history, emotion, and feeling, and you feel all of it throughout every single scene. And it's genuinely fantastic.
It's a delightful film for grown-ups that may be genre, but just touching on genre.
Man, it is tickling with genre.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that I think that would, like, if genre fanatics would be like, yeah, Rose plays Julie. It's just like, no, this is something is like, it brings you back to something like, I forgot that films could be made with fantastic characters, it's a great story, and it's simple as shit. It is so simple.
Yeah.
And man, again, like I look back at it and it's like, if this was a first screenplay and a first director, I would not be surprised because it's knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, fair enough.
I cannot recommend this enough. This is my favorite movie out of everything that we did.
Really? Because I'm a Siege guy myself. But,
well, Siege in this. Yeah. But like this, wait. All right,
let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's move on.
Okay, well.
To our next film, The Birthday Cake, which we actually reviewed on the site. We were not on that review.
No,
I was like, look at this cast. It's got a lot of really fucking interesting people.
Look at this cast. Can you see the ending a mile away? Yes. Okay, then you got the movie.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
I fucking am.
Okay, so, apparently our critics liked this on the site, but most critics really, really did not like this film.
I could see why.
I fell on the side of liking this film.
Oh, man.
I didn't
So
love
the next movie is Batman?
No, okay. No. So this tells the story of an Italian-American, Gio, played by Shiloh Fernandez, a young version David Mazouz, who appears in it quite a bit as well with flashbacks. Who,
Batman, by the way. Which, good segue.
Stop. Who is part of a family tradition where his father, who had died 10 years previously, there's always a big party honoring his father's passing with a bunch of his Italian-American relatives. And part of that is that his mom always bakes a cake that everyone's always like, oh, she makes the best cakes. We always look forward to as a big part of that. And he's bringing it to there. So it's the bulk of the film is like his day trying to bring this cake to this thing and dealing with a number of other people, including the priest he has a friendship with, played by very briefly in this film, in the beginning and the ending, Ewan McGregor, and a number of other people. But as he goes through all these experiences through here and starts to go, not everybody is a fan of my family.
Yeah.
And people going, not everybody's a fan of this guy, who look at him as like, he's so naive. He's just a child. He doesn't know what's really going on, which if you've watched any mafia films, you go like, right off the bat, you're like, these guys are clearly in the mafia. Like, oh wait, there's no mafia. There's no such thing.
Well, I think he's just sort of like, no, there's just no big deal. It's not a big mafia.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they're in crime, but not like there's no real mafia.
Yeah. It's not like Goodfellas crime.
And it leads up to him going to this final conclusion, third act scene with him bringing the cake finally into the party with a lot of people you've seen on The Sopranos and other Italian films. Val Kilmer, who, sadly is like, can't really speak anymore because of his, I guess, throat cancer.
Yes.
And, they subtitle him. So he's got like a thing he holds up to his throat.
Which they write off as like he was shot in the throat, which was like, well, movie, you got my half vote. And like, it's just like, well, I guess.
They're giving Val Kilmer money to appear in a film.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, like,
Lorraine Bracco plays his mom, the main character's mom, not Val Kilmer's mom. I actually found this really fascinating because.
Really?
I've seen a lot of mafia films in my life.
Sure.
And this one did not go by the rules or the standard setup of a mafia film. Like, this is a crazy day in a life movie, but set in a mafia community. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And the final concluding scene, which is very disturbing and violent and gross, is, while not unexpected, for the character and the way that the actor plays it, really sold it to me.
I thought that this was the best looking, cheaply made movie I've seen in a long time.
Ooh.
And that's giving it credit.
Wow.
I can see how, because Shiloh Fernandez co-wrote and produced this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, he thought, I was like, I got an idea, and we're gonna make this with some people who don't want to do anything anymore, so let's get them in a movie.
And some weird appearances, like Luis Guzman, who's in here for no real reason.
Okay, Luis Guzman is in this, and also Ewan McGregor. Now, I don't know what the living fuck they said or told or promised or whatever the hell they did to Ewan McGregor, but I'm offended and also fascinated by, I was like, wow, he's that cheap to get? Like, it's crazy because he's in a few scenes. He's like in 3 scenes.
Yeah,
maybe.
very brief scenes.
And also he narrates the movie.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Which is, okay, look, it's not that crazy because like all it takes is like, you got 15 minutes to
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, like
we just narrated a movie.
Yeah, it's just this. Like, we narrated longer than the fucking movie itself. But I commend it for Shiloh Fernandez, because like, you had an idea, you committed to it, you did it. It's not a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. Because I think it's lame. And
which is the definition of not a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And but I commend for its technical and
faint praise.
Well, hold on. I mean, it's not necessarily faint praise. Like, I hope at this point now, I think technicalities actually mean a lot to me because the type of shit that I watch, technical shit does mean a lot to me at this point. Yeah. But also technicality, but also, the fact is like, hey, look, man, you got fucking Ewan McGregor and Val Kilmer. I don't know what the fuck you said to him to do this. And he's just like, and, I don't know if that's offensive at all. And,
is it? I can't tell anymore.
Well, let's go into 2022 and see if that's offensive, to all people that talk with, voice boxes. But, you know, the fact that he did all this, I think it is quite commendable that he put together this movie that the end I really hated, but I get it from a filmmaker standpoint. It's like, man, you tried your damnedest and you committed to it, and I don't fault you for it.
I found it interesting. I was like, I've not seen a film like this
don't know
before.
why. How did you find it interesting?
I've not seen a film that was structured like this before. I was like, oh, this
felt like Mean Streets, but lame.
I don't see that.
Okay.
Yeah. But most critics agree with you. Most people didn't like this. This was roundly hated.
Well, it was boring and honestly, all the side characters, like, I don't know.
Here's the guy who gave defense to Invaders of the Lost Gold talking about this movie.
Correct. So, which is weird as I'm so sorry, Shiloh Fernandez. I liked Invaders of the Lost Gold more than your movie. He'll watch it like, what the fuck? But watch Siege. You'll get it. But, I think that writing a mafia movie and making it like low key, which the thing is,
it is a very low key mafia film.
This movie,
not really a mafia film.
No, this movie felt like a good first draft.
Like, watch the Canadian film that we reviewed a couple shows ago called Mafia Incorporated if you want to watch a tremendously great mafia film you've not heard of.
Sure.
But this one is not a film for people who like mafia films. It's a film for people who like one day in the life films.
I guess.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I don't know who this is for.
It worked for me.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because, like,
well, we got to move on. We got to move on.
Well, fuck your birthday cake.
Like, Wright's still used to doing an entire show on one movie.
No, I know.
So I got to push him. Go, we got to move on.
We got to move on. Yeah. God damn it.
We're going to talk about Batman Last Halloween Part 2 because we talked about Part 1 in a previous episode.
We did, and you know what? Finally,
we see the
Two-Face
conclusion. Like Two-Face becoming Two-Face in what I still think is one of the most overrated graphic novels of all time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't like Jeff Loeb's work. I'm not a big fan of his writing. I felt like this, first off, as a transfer, as a Blu-ray version, which they've already announced a 4K version, which will just combine them into one thing and will undoubtedly be much better looking. This doesn't look great in terms of the transfer. It's kind of sketchy.
Can I ask
the first one?
Can I ask real quick? This movie, okay, wait. I don't watch these movies too often, like DC.
Oh, I watched them all. I've seen every single one.
So, I'm sorry. Condolences.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes.
Condolences.
What, you're still doing the birthday cake?
I'm doing the birthday cake. But, why does this movie look worse than the first one?
Yeah, it does.
Why? Yeah. Why?
And
I'm furious about this because
only the transfer. It's not like
it's weird.
Yeah. You're like, why is this so crappy looking? Because you can see that the art is fine. There's nothing wrong with the core element.
But why is it, okay, wait. Why is the art also slightly worse than the first?
Is it? I didn't notice.
Like a dash. Like, I don't know. It just seems like they, I think they grabbed you with the first, which was also like, okay.
Not a huge grab.
Yeah. And also the second is like, that's where all the shit happens.
Like,
and also like,
I'll give them full credit that they are doing a relatively close to the graphic novel version of the story. I mean, there are some big changes to be sure, but
I don't remember the big changes.
But they're doing this as if it was like a whole season of a thing. It's what it feels like a whole season drier drama where it's spending a lot of time with these characters not in superhero or supervillain mode. And honestly, just like the graphic novel, I found it kind of boring. It's not the canon version of these characters. It's an alternate universe version of these characters and their story. I just not that interested in this particular version. I know people love all over this fucking thing. I don't hate this. I'm not saying I hate it. I think it's fine. I think it's very well done outside of the transfer.
I think it's an interesting take on.
I'm gonna need that whiskey bottle.
Take it, please, please.
All right, thank you.
Good Lord,
you, Jesus Christ.
Look,
God, you drank half of this fucking thing.
Okay, don't say that.
Oh, sorry. Am I
supposed to say recording? That? Okay. Oh, God damn it.
Sorry. Your wife will never listen to this.
So, I think it's an interesting take on Harvey Dent. It's interesting.
He's the only interesting character.
He's the only interesting thing about this. But everyone else is like, eh. And, you know, I don't know. Here's what's so funny is that, you know what I did right after this movie? It's like, oh, we have some Batman animated series stuff on here. I'm like, oh, really?
You watched that instead and went, oh, this is so much better.
I watched that and then I went on 2 hours of just watching like, oh my God, I was 12. I was 20.
Dude, if I could create a time bubble that I could just go like all time stops and I'm just going to do whatever I want, I'd probably just rewatch Batman the Animated Series.
God damn it. Like that show, man, it is so good.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah.
And
that it kind of spoiled us for a lot of other
stuff. It spoiled us for a lot of things. And like, you know what's so, these people, what people? These people,
they're so, what's it, when someone is like just so over serious about something that isn't worth being that serious about, and you're just kind of like you don't want to be an asshole, but you're kind of like trying to hold back chuckles. I'm like, come on, dude, calm down. You're like, settle down, Francis. You know, Francis. This is what this whole like long Halloween thing feels like.
This seems like it's like, man, I watched all of the Two-Face, like the good Two-Face episodes.
Yeah.
Like The Judge.
There's so many good ones.
The Judge, and also like, there was the one where it was like, him, he turned himself in.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I'm like, God damn it. These episodes were so fucking fantastic, written by Paul Dini.
It's just so overly stoic, this thing. All right.
And this one was just like, I don't know. Like
the first one, like led up to the thing, which when this started, I was like, what is happening? Because it starts with like Bruce Wayne being attacked by Poison Ivy, because apparently I didn't realize there was a post-credit scene in the first one. Yeah, there's a post-credit scene in the first one that is.
I'm swallowing. I did not see that at all.
It starts from that. And
oh, really?
Like, I didn't realize. I skipped past that. I didn't realize it was a post-credit
I had no
scene.
idea.
So it starts with that. With like,
I just thought it was like cool.
Poison Ivy like forcing Batman under her control to sign all of her assets to Carmine Falcone, who is in the early days of Batman a big deal, and but Catwoman, who I don't feel like, it's been a while since I read the graphic novel, but I don't feel like Catwoman is as big a part of the original graphic novel series as she is here. But she rescues him, and it gets back to the holiday killings, because the holiday murderer is murdering members of the Falcone family on various holidays. And of course, your suspect, the film points directly, okay, so it's Two-Face, right? The guy who we all know, Harvey Dent, is going to become Two-Face.
Right.
But there's a lot of other people involved, and there's like a bunch of the other villains come out. Scarecrow is a big part of this one. I don't know, man. It's fine.
It's fine. It's like, it's just,
if you love the original, I can't speak because I don't love the original stuff. So I'd be curious. I wish you were that person who loved the original graphic novel, like to pieces, like so many people.
I didn't love it. I was like, I read it, like years ago, and it's like,
yeah, it's been a while since
it's
I went
like,
back to it.
that's all I have. It's like, okay.
Like when I've reviewed some of the other stuff they've done with the DC animated universe that are adaptations of books that I know very well, like Year One and what have you. I'm like, I have a real opinion about the basis, like what the difference is and what works and what doesn't. And this one, I'm like, it's been like 7 years since I've read this thing. I can't
remember the last time I read Long Halloween, but like, it's all right, and like at least it still lands the original. Like it doesn't morph or do anything like with the original ending. I know what the original ending is, so if people are fans of it, or like it still does that, but
they do that weird thing with Solomon Grundy where he's basically the Hulk.
I guess.
Like I'm watching this. This is not Solomon Grundy. This is just the Hulk. This is like the out of control Hulk. Who's like when Banner, those periods in Marvel when Banner is just stuck being the Hulk. That's who you made here. I'm like,
which
that's
they
not
do.
Really Solomon
I will
Grundy.
say they do one scene between Two-Face and Solomon Grundy where I was like, wait, is that in the original comic? I don't remember that. And like, it's just them going on the whole like Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday.
Yeah, which is
I don't know. I kind of
Solomon Grundy only works in a horror context for me. Like if
Sure.
you're going to do EC Comics at like DC stuff, which has worked with him before, I'm like, ooh, he's super creepy as this strange evolved zombie character. Like that's a cool character, but here he's just the Hulk.
No, sure he is, but like there's a scene between those two. Is like I kind of like that. I don't remember if it's in the original comic at all.
I'm not drinking your whiskey right now.
Solomon Grundy.
Drank whiskey on Monday.
You know what? If you watch the first one, you should watch this one because you should finish it. And you're like,
it's fine.
It's
also Jensen Ackles from Supernatural, who plays Batman in this one, just got voted sexiest man in the world.
He did?
Yeah. Which I'm not surprised by.
Good for him.
He is the sexiest man in the world.
I would highly disagree.
I don't know. Chris Hemsworth is still out there.
Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hardy.
Really? Tom Hardy? I never.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Reynolds. Not for this next one. But, hold on.
Yeah? You got someone else?
Patrick Stewart.
I mean, Doctor Who,
David Tennant?
Yeah.
David Tennant?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Who else you got? 2 heterosexual men talking about the sexiest men in the world. Man, we're evolved here at Digital Noise.
Man.
I mean,
Let's talk about men.
There are celebrities I would, no question, fucking let them do whatever they wanted to with me because you are so amazing and hot that I would be honored for you to do things that would not turn me on.
Here's what I know about this. This idea that us unsexy-ish men, that we was like, oh, do what you want. That as if they were like, I will do whatever I want. And here's what I know about these sexy men. They won't do that.
They wouldn't have we will never meet them.
And you know what? And that's what's so sexy about them.
Yeah, maybe so.
And so that they were like, no, I would only do right by someone else. Like, oh, God damn it, that's why you're so fucking sexy.
I mean, my dream is that I go to Chris Hemsworth and I go,
okay.
Chris,
Wait, hold on, slower.
I am your servant.
Oh.
I am here for whatever needs you have, sexual or otherwise. He's
okay.
Like, my need is for you to have sex with Scarlett Johansson in front of me.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's...
And she's like, I'm up for it. I'm good with that.
That's quite the porno.
Yeah.
That's quite the porno. I don't know if I'd watch it.
$1 million. I'm just saying.
But Bang Bros would totally buy it.
All right. There is, in fact, a bonus feature on this thing that I liked more than the actual feature here. Did you watch the bonus features?
I watched the animated series stuff.
That's it?
Look. No.
Look, all the new releases come with short films.
Yes.
Animated shorts. And this one was a DC, they call them DC short, showcase. And honestly, lately I've liked the DC showcase more, not even lately in general, more than the actual features. And this one is the Blue Beetle. Now I admit there was an initial bit of disappointment that I'm like, oh, I was hoping for the modern Blue Beetle that hooks up with Booster Gold and does all the time travel weird comedy stuff as like I'm still like, hey, CW, I don't even watch your shows anymore, because I got bored after a while, but oh my God, if you made a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold show, I would watch the fuck out of that show as like a buddy comedy thing.
Yeah.
But this is the classic Charlton Comics Blue Beetle, pre-Marvel Comics, where that character originally came from. So it's adapting from that, and it's doing it in the style of the 70s Super Friends.
Really?
Yeah, like that wacky style, and it brings in the Question, who is not from the earlier period as a character, but it's all done in a very tongue-in-cheek, goofy, like retro way, and it's delightful.
That is fantastic, because you said a lot of words and I do not understand.
Oh, but that's fair, yeah.
But I don't know the Blue Beetle, but and I don't know the Question, but if it's done in the Super Friends like genre, like the way that it's,
with it.
It's
like
with
Venture Brothers if they did Super Friends.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I would recommend that. And that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a fun 15 and a half minute, like, little short that's like...
15?
Yeah. Most of these are about 15, 16, 17 minutes.
Everything we do is too long.
No, it's perfect.
Oh, God.
It's delightful, right? Don't question it.
Hey, speaking of which, next is a little too long.
Oh, my God. Are we already ready for you to shit all over one of the best movies that came out this year?
Look,
The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Let's talk about this shit.
It's not one of the best movies that came out this year, but I'm a really big, I'm not even going to say fan. Stan. I'll say Stan.
Okay.
Which I'm not entirely clear what it means because I'm like in my 50s.
But
I think that means like fan, but more.
Oh, okay.
Right. For the
You're saying that stands.
For the original film Hitman's Bodyguard, that came out in 2017 with Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Salma Hayek. I really liked that movie a lot. And most critics didn't. I think it was under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I remember I saw it and nobody else in our whole crew liked it except for me and Martin Thomas, one of my oldest friends who's on Double Toasted. We both loved it. We're like, oh, this feels like Shane Black films from the 90s. Like these action movie, like hyper saturated fucking slightly meta comedy action movies. I was like, oh, I get it. I love this. Also, you mentioned yourself, Ryan Reynolds being like a man crush. I'm a huge man crush on Ryan Reynolds. Although I went like, wait, he's playing the straight man in this film? Where Ryan Reynolds is usually the guy who's bigger than life. Here he's playing kind of more the guy who's pulled back, even though he is a huge action hero as well. I really dug that film. So when they announced they're making a sequel, despite the low reviews, but great box office, I was super excited for the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, despite the awkward as fuck title.
Sure.
I actually had trouble sleeping last night because, you get those weird things in your brain, like just like a virus in your brain.
It's called cancer. This movie.
We have that question where you go like, if they make a third one, what would it be called? And my brain started over obsessing over it.
What did you think the third movie was going to be called?
I don't know. That's what it was. Don't make me not sleep again tonight, right?
If I'm not going to make you sleep tonight, God fucking damn it.
I just made you watch this. I was like, oh, I just got the 4K for this. That just is coming out.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll put them both on my Vudu account so you can watch them. Because I want to get this review out. And you're like, I haven't seen the first one. I'm like, oh, lucky for you. The first one is also on my Vudu account. So he hadn't seen either one.
Wait, hold on. Focus on lucky. Lucky for you.
Lucky.
That is extremely important. What Chris just said.
Lucky for
because
both of us.
We just watched. Hold on, let me count this real quick.
How many movies?
Hold on.
Are you counting?
We watched 8.
8 movies.
8 movies.
Is that counting Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard?
No.
Okay. I broke right. I won.
You broke.
I won.
Okay.
Hooray!
Look.
I'm gonna take another shot of your whiskey.
No, please do.
I just said earlier I wasn't gonna do this, but here I am. So.
We watched 8 movies that I ebbed and flowed, genuinely liked, then loved, then and then really liked again and loved. Okay.
So you would come out clean.
I would come out clean.
Yeah.
And then, that's why I'm not close to this microphone. Then you said, hey, can you watch The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard? I was like, oh no, thank you.
Well, yeah, I've heard things about this.
No.
Things.
No, I did not say any of those words. I said, it's like, oh.
I'm picturing in your head.
I was like, oh no. Well, I didn't watch the first movie. I can watch the second movie because I heard it was shit. And, I was like, I can watch this if you need me to. Is this for, I actually was like, are you confusing what we're doing tomorrow? Like, oh, we're recording? Cause like, I don't think this is a part of digital noise. Please don't make this part of digital noise. And I was like, no, can you watch this movie? Also, if you could watch the first movie, that would be really helpful.
No, I was like, who hasn't watched the first movie?
Most of America, because this movie is dog shit. Okay.
I don't understand. I find myself in a position where like, I just don't get it. I have a hard time, like something is wrong with me, clearly. Because the book,
yes.
This is like 20 something on Rotten Tomatoes, even though it made a lot of money as well. Like the first one.
That means we're burning
jack shit.
To the ground.
But like, I watched it, I was like, this is not as good as the first film, which I think is fucking fantastic, and I will go back to again and again and again.
That's so fucking crazy.
I don't know. I mean, maybe
so
it's because I grew up watching the Lethal Weapon movies and what have you.
It's not even
like this is a callback. This series.
Who is this a callback to?
It is though.
Wait, what is his name?
Ryan Reynolds?
No, that wrote Lethal Weapon.
Shane Black?
If Shane Black watched the movies and he heard you say that, he would slap you.
I don't know. He made Predators.
Touche.
Which I also loved, for the record.
God damn it, I fucking hate doing this. Okay, look, I described it. Okay, wait. The first movie, I was so traumatized by watching this. That was like, and my girl.
I don't understand. It was so good.
She's not my wife, and she's my girlfriend, and she was sitting there, and she was watching this movie. And every now and then.
When are you going to marry this girl?
Someday soon.
Yeah.
But she
should do it.
Watch this movie. She watched this movie with me, and she was like, "This is bad." And I was like, "Yes, I know." Like 5 minutes in,
it's almost perfect.
Okay, because Patrick Hughes. Now, I paid attention to this fucking filmography real quick because Patrick Hughes is the director of this movie.
Yeah.
He does not know comedic timing whatsoever.
Oh, I strongly disagree.
Ooh. I could talk about it in a fucking hour about this movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He directed The Expendables 3, but that is work for hire. But he also made the tremendously amazing Red Hill in 2010.
Sure. But he didn't write this movie because he wrote Red Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. So he does not know what funny is at all because this movie is Are we talking about this movie or the first one? Okay, wait. Let's describe first both movies because buckle up, crew. They're the same movie because
I don't know.
No, they are because they oh god damn it. They follow the same fucking like
I'm
story tropes.
Get scared that this is the moment you die.
Oh my god,
and then I'm gonna feel terrible. I've met your wife like once in passing.
She's my girlfriend.
Whatever.
Okay.
Same difference. You've been together for a while.
We've been together for a while.
You know, like common law. But like, I'll have to be like, I'm sorry. I stressed him out about making him watch this movie and defend it when I like it. And I'll be like, it murdered him. This movie murdered him as surely as Ryan Reynolds would have.
Look, I would have had Ryan Reynolds murder me any day of the week. if he said that he never made this movie, because it is explicitly clear that he did not have fun.
I didn't feel that way at all.
Oh, I did feel that way. Samuel L. Jackson thought he was having fun. And
Samuel L. Jackson is just doing Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes. And Salma Hayek was... Oh, man. The trivia that I read about this movie, and they're like, oh, my God, we let Salma Hayek do whatever the hell she wanted. Here's what's really, like, explicitly clear about this movie, is that Salma Hayek got to do whatever she wanted. Samuel L. Jackson thought saying motherfucker or fuck 8 million times in a movie was funny.
Have you not seen the rest of Samuel L. Jackson's movie career?
You shut the motherfucker up.
I'm just saying.
Shut up right now.
There is
emphasis. There is emphasis on fucking things that he says.
Celebrated him doing that.
Look, hold on 1 second. And then Ryan Reynolds just knowing so clearly halfway through this production, oh no, this is not working.
I like this. I don't know what to tell you.
I think he's smarter than this movie.
I think this is lesser than the first film, which I think is amazing.
Okay.
Sorry. I think it's amazing.
Both?
I think it's a meta, fun, like, nostalgic take on 80s films, but amped up with, like, modern day extremism.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
What are you
This
doing?
is what I described to my coworkers. I'm crossing my arms now because I'm making you
defensive. I'm sorry.
You're making me defensive.
I'm sorry.
I described.
Have some whiskey. Here you go.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
Well, I have a little bit more.
Well, pour more because you need it.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
I described this movie is devastatingly unfunny.
Wow.
This movie and the first movie is so devastatingly unfunny that I was shocked that I feel
like if Jensen Ackles was here right now, he'd be like, "You're not the sexiest man in America," saying that.
To me?
Yeah. He'd be like, "You're not the sexiest man."
Wait, hold on 1 second. That's insinuating that I was up for the sexiest man in America?
God damn it.
Because...
Oh, fuck. I didn't even realize that.
I will take back what I just said about the hitman's wife's bodyguard.
Is just an honor.
Because he's like, well, hold on 1 second. Because you were going to be the sexiest man alive.
Well, somewhere Christian Bale's like, that was my bit to the beginning.
That was my bit right there. Because these movies, one, my first question was, who? A light who? Who is this for?
Me.
And then
me.
a young 50-year-old man said, me. And, right? And said me, and I was like, oh no, why am I doing this?
Yeah, all right. So I appreciate your sacrifice. I appreciate your sacrifice, as it were.
Look, and also sarcasm?
Yeah, I do. I love sarcasm, so yeah.
Sure, because this is fucking garbage. These movies are terrible.
Well, okay, I love the original one. This one I felt like was a little... If you want to know about the plot, just listen to the...
Why the fuck would you not want to know about the plot? It's the same fucking movie as the first one.
It's not, though.
It's basically the first one.
It's got Morgan Freeman in it.
It literally forgets the first movie that existed. Like, if you can watch the first movie and you watch the second movie, it's like, that's the same thing. Like, it's the first fucking movie. It's crazy.
I'm weirdly grateful that you hate this as much as you do.
I'm glad, because this is something that
you're wrong, but, you know.
Not wrong. Because this is so crazy bad, is that I feel bad. You know what? I feel bad for Ryan. You know what? I feel bad for Ryan Reynolds the most, because, like, you know what? This is the first time. It's like, he's an older man than I am.
Be that guy who's like shitting over Free Guy as well, like going like, oh, fuck that movie. I don't see why everybody likes it.
Chris, you and I were on that review together.
Oh, you were on that review.
And I love that movie.
I love that movie. Oh, that's right. You're the one who loved it the most.
I was the one that
You were the one who was like, who straight up said, I will pay Ryan Reynolds $5,000 if he'll let me suck his dick.
I said that.
You said that.
Multiple times. Yeah. $15,000 worth that times. But this goddamn movie, I watched this. I was like, I'm going to have to subtract
I'm going to have to lower it to $200.
No. Just $5,000 less. So $10,000. I was still paying him a little bit.
It was free guy was good enough that
look, I still pay it, but
yeah.
This movie, god damn it. It's one of those movies where you watch it, you're like, oh, I get it. They saw that you did martial arts once, and I'm sorry, man. This is a slumming it movie.
Well, we have to wrap it up, but I will say just like we disagree on this one. I think it's much lesser than the first one, but it's still pretty fun. There is a 9-minute Ryan, Sam, Salma, One Fucked Up Family, which is just little bits from the film cut into interviews.
Don't watch it.
Gone Soft, the new Michael Bryce,
Don't
which
watch
is
any
Ryan
of this.
Reynolds' character.
Don't watch any of this.
Stop.
Stop.
7.5 minutes more of the same. Hitman's Wife Bodyguard stunt life for a little under 8 minutes, which is look at the thing you'd most curious about. How did they do the stunts?
Most curious, like the stunts in this movie, I would say are less than the first.
They're very well done. Right. Stop. And on the set of Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard for 4 minutes, which is looking at the production designer doing a tour through the bar in the scene. Like there's a big bar scene here, which is a pretty amazing, fuck you, right, stunt sequence. I thought, I just rewatched it today. I was like, that's an incredibly well shot action sequence.
It is something that you were like, you know what? I've seen better. And you know what? You're right. And you know what? Stop listening to this.
And there's a gag reel for a little under 5 minutes. Anyway, our pick of the week, I'm going to say, is Siege. That's the one we agree on the most.
I would say pick of the week is Siege.
I mean, if for no other reason that Rosemary's
Sharp's second.
Yeah, I mean, like that has no real extra features, but Siege has a bunch of extra features, and you're like, okay, that's the pick of the week, and it's like this amazing,
it's interesting shit
discovery that you'll be like, how did I not know this existed? I'm kind of mad. I remember I was watching it and going like, I'm kind of angry now.
I was really angry. I was angry enough to like, you know what? I really hope that, that Chris doesn't make me watch it. Like, I don't know, like a movie that wasn't made like this year, but also wasn't like a first movie that was made like a couple years ago.
I was just mad that no one told me. I'm the guy who's always like looking for the hidden gem.
I was referencing
where are the
Hitman's
gems?
Bodyguard and the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and you made me watch it, and god damn it. Like, it's funny, because I hope... Hold on.
I'm placing bets the next one's called The Bodyguard's Hitman.
I
bet that's what it's called.
God damn it.
After staying up all night thinking about it, that's what I think it's called.
Here's the thing. If Paul Donovan and Maura O'Connell...
From Siege.
Just you know this. Hear my sultry voice.
That is sultry.
Sultry.
Oh, goddamn erection, go down.
Just know that your movie, The Siege, struck me in a way that I haven't seen a movie in a long time. And the fact that this shit of a movie, Hitman's Wife Bodyguard, was made for at least, I'm assuming, 18 times more than your movie was ever made for.
At least.
At least 1,800 times more. Just know you can do it again. And the fact that the world should know where The Siege is, and the fact that fucking Ryan Reynolds should know what this movie is and try to remake that movie instead. God damn it, make a sequel to this movie, he was fucking bored with.
I'm sorry. You do not want to see Ryan Reynolds in a remake of The Siege.
Who do you want to see him as?
Not as this.
Wait, what do you want to... Wait, if he was in this movie, what would you want to see him as?
Super serious, dark thing. I don't want to see Ryan Reynolds as super serious, dark characters.
I would want to see him in the movie. I want to see him
keep playing Deadpool.
I want to see him as one of the killers. One of the men that were killed in the beginning of the movie. Wait, as a bad guy? We haven't seen Ryan Reynolds as a bad guy
because
before.
No one wants to see that.
Let's see him do it.
Oh my God, I'm canceling you. Hey, Wright is raping Ryan Reynolds. Cancel him.
Yeah, boy.